Sharon the hairdresser. You next week?
No, you're not doing it. You keep on offering to do my hair.
Today we're going to be doing some lost wax casting. It takes all day to prepare the flasks, and the casting literally only takes about 10-15 minutes at the end of the day. It's the first thing Monday morning. We've got all our ingredients on the table. We're going to be investing some waxes that we cast, that we injected, some waxes that you saw me inject into the rubber molds a couple of weeks ago. We're going to be doing that. I've also got a little top secret one in here. This is for I can't really say too much about it, but it's for a national celebrity. Whether it works and whether they accept it, I don't know, but we're gonna have to wait and see, and I'll let you know. And I'll post some pictures if he or she decides to wear it. We normally cast on quite a small scale, but recently we have been increasing the capacity of the flasks, and we've got some quite big flasks, and we're doing more than one flask at a time now. So the technique that I'm going to be showing you, literally mixing it with a spatula and by hand, really is not a good way of doing it. We should start using some mechanical device like a food mixer or blender, something like that, to ensure that the powder and the water really gets mixed up really well. Anyway, let me just quickly show you what I've got. Those are my waxes in here. This is my powder. I've measured out my powder already. I need 24 ounces of investment powder. I've got my wine. No, I haven't got my wine. I've got my water. Just basically, I can't fit that into here. Again, I should have bigger receptacles to keep the water in. It's nicely tepid, it's not cold, hence the reason why I got my kettle. My mixing bowl is here, and I got my phone. We need to time this. I've got 9 minutes from the moment that I start to mix. Then from there, I take it round into the investment. We suck out all the air that's in the investment. Then we come back and pour the slurry that is in here into my flasks. Then we take the flasks and we put them back into the vacuum chamber here that sucks all the air out, and from then, after about 9 minutes, the flasks then are left for about an hour to set, and then we put them, gone dark. Then we put them aside to set, and then we will put them in the oven, then to the kiln to enable us all the wax then to dribble out and to burn out, hence the lost wax casting method. So the water goes in first. That isn't wine, okay? And then I start my clock from the moment this powder goes into the water. There seems to be an awful lot of powder, but it really has to get mixed. We try not to introduce too much air into this. Obviously, you can't really help it. So I really have to mix this for around about 2 to 3 minutes, ensuring that it's all mixed up. And they say the longer you mix it, the stronger the investment will be. We've had 1.5 minutes. Okay then, so this is the dome. This gets put into place. That goes on top. Make sure the seal is right. Turn the machine on. pour the investment down the side of the flask. These go back into that investment table now. Where the air has been sucked out, we've got these little flasks with little collars on, because it does bubble up. As you can see, it has splattered everywhere, but these sleeves stop the investment from coming over onto the investment machine. And now I'm a little bit short on this one, so I'm just going to top it up a little bit on the side for this, just to take it up to the top of the flask. There we go. Those are my two flasks. I'm going to give them about an hour now just to dry, just to solidify. Then we're going to take off the masking tape collar on the top, take off the rubber base, and then we're going to put it into our kiln, where we're going to set the temperature. So the temperature will go up slowly, it'll reach a certain point, the wax will melt out. After an hour of the wax melting out, the temperature will ramp up, and then the heat will burn off any residue wax that's in the inside and any carbon that's left inside the molds. And this takes all day because it has to be ramped up really slowly. And then this afternoon, then around about 5 o'clock, we're going to invest some gold, the gold links, and silver in my little flask. So join me a little bit later on. So it's been a few hours now since we put those flasks in the kiln. The kiln is now up to 732 degrees. It's got 1 hour 51 still at that sort of temperature. Do you want to know how hot that is and what that looks like? Wait for this. That is mega hot. The little flash of flame was the last bit of the wax that has dribbled out, that is now getting hotter and hotter, and that's the remains of the wax that's left in those flasks completely burning away, hence the reason it's lost wax casting, because the wax now has become lost, and the void that is within the investment flasks will then be soon injected, if that's such a way, forced in via centrifugal force in this case, with gold in the big flask and silver in that very small flask. So the time has come to cast finally. After all day waiting for the kiln to get to temperature, to burn out all the wax and then come back down with the right temperature to cast. We're going to cast 2 flasks today. We're casting a small little flask of silver and a bigger flask of some 9-carat yellow gold. So first of all, I'm going to do the silver. I'm going to go to the kiln, get the crucible out, because that's where I've got the silver, because it's heating up quite nicely. Saves me a lot of time when it comes to heating up, making it nice and molten. As I've got it molten, I'm going to go back to the kiln, get the flask, pick it up with, put it into place, keep heating it up, and once the silver is nice and molten, I shall release the centrifugal casting machine that I've got down here, and it will spin round and force that silver out into the void that is left where the wax was. Then once I've done that, I'll put the flask to one side, then I will get the other crucible out of the kiln, to put it in place. This is the gold one. Start to melt that down. Just as that is molten, I will go to the kiln to get the flask out of the chain links that I'm doing, put that into position, keep on heating until it's nice and molten, and then do exactly the same again. Jason has had to go home because I'm a little bit late doing this. It's roughly around about 5:30. I should have really done this around about 4:30 this afternoon, but I was a little bit late getting the flasks invested. Hence the reason why I'm doing it on my own. Shouldn't really, but needs must. Okay, I'm going to put the camera facing down at the centrifugal casting machine that we've got here, and now you know what I'm going to do. Let me show you. And I love this type of casting. This type of casting for me is far better than the vacuum casting that we use, because it's a lot more excitement, it's a lot more to see, and it just feels better to be able to release it, and the gold and the silver spinning around and spinning around so fast, it gets thrown out into the mold as opposed to just sucking it out. So let's get cracking. So that's the crucible got into place. That's my bit of silver that's in it. I'm going to put some eye protection on because it's vitally important that we have eye protection, because we have got silver and gold spinning around at high speeds. I've also got some gloves that I'll be putting on as well. And we simply let that spin round and round until it slows right down. Then we can stop it, we can take the flask out, we can do exactly the same then with the gold. So what happened then, I released the drum. It's mechanical. We wind it round 3 times to get a good tension on that spring. When we release it, the centrifugal force of that crucible spinning round flicks out, which then shoots out the silver straight into the mold, and where the wax was, the silver gets put in, fills up the void, and we've got an exact replica in silver of the wax that we had in that investment. This is the button, this is the excess silver that we put into the melt to make sure there's enough metal going down into that flask. So within that flask is our mold, our silver replica of the wax. I'm going to crack on with the gold one now. Whilst that one is spinning around, as you can see, I'm going to put the silver one, which should have cooled down enough now, and I'm going to plunge it into this bucket that we've got down here. And what happens now is the shock of putting this flask in the cold water will make like an eruption, and it will release the silver pattern that we've got inside this investment. Although I can't show you what's in this one, it's a secret. Not a very good eruption, this one, because the silver has cooled down quite a bit. The gold one is going to be a lot more spectacular. It's just finished spinning round. I'm going to plunge it, and then you will see an eruption. That's better. All the gold had gone into the pattern. Oh yes. So there is our tree of gold links that we need to make up those other few links for the chain and the bracelet. Looking good. It's Wednesday morning and Kerry has just gone to university. I've grabbed myself a cup of coffee and I've noticed the gorgeous on my hair, and I've noticed the little bit of sun we got today is on the oak tree. And I know I took you around the garden a few weeks ago when it was really sunny, but now it's starting to turn autumn. The clocks have gone back and everything is starting to die in the garden. But let me just quickly show you these gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous colours. One sec. You can see the oak tree, the beautiful. Let's zoom in a bit. Yeah, we've got these beautiful colours of gold, and there's still some rich green colours, the yellows, mustards, gold. Absolutely stunning. Even just looking up through the canopy of the oak tree. Stunning, stunning colours. And even my shadow is getting longer and longer. Let's have a wander up here. Just absolutely beautiful. The light coming through is stunning this morning. Not an awful lot to show you up the sort of top end of the garden. All the apples are gone, all the plums have gone, the leaves are starting to come off those trees. But looking back through, so that's it. I'm going to finish off my coffee. I'm going to go back and carry on with my editing.